If we are not clearing energy, we're actually holding on to the energetic debris of the previous situation we were in or what we read on the internet. Another thing I do when I go into a new hotel room is I actually just, because guys, if you're staying in a hotel room in Vegas, Lord, you better be cleansing that space. Do you have unanswered questions in your life? Maybe there's something that you need more clarity around, and you're having a hard time hearing the voice of your intuition. If this is the case, this episode is for you. And before we drop into this episode, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. That is the best way to stay up to date on the latest episodes. We've got this in video format, so if you're just hearing my voice, be sure to also watch our fabulous outfits on video as well on Spotify, YouTube, or the Apple Store. This is the best way to stay in the flow with future conversations and also allows the podcast to reach more people. So hit subscribe so I can keep vibing with you on all future episodes. Now let's get into this one. Welcome back to the High Self Podcast. My name is Sahara Rose, and on this podcast, I love to take spirituality and make it modern, fun, and relatable so it can actually serve your needs. And I'm so excited because at my school, High Self Institute, we have now just opened our certified spiritual life coaching program, which is a 6-month deep dive that certifies you into becoming a spiritual life coach. So I just finished recording the entire curriculum, and I wanted to give you a little taste of the experience here on the podcast. Because I know if you're someone that's listening to this, you are an intuitive, empathic, highly sensitive person that feels things. You are energetic. And you're probably wanting to dive in deeper, learn a little bit more tools on how to use this gift of your intuition in ways that are really tangible. And I have learned so much devoting over a decade of my life to spirituality, the oracular arts, divination, and so much more, studying in Guatemala, Egypt, Iran, the list goes on. I've really devoted my life to the mysteries, and I've kind of taken these different lineages and the tools that I've learned and made them really easy to understand and broken down, and how you can actually offer them in a spiritual life coaching session. So in today's episode, I want to teach you the art of divination. So what is divination? So divination is to ask the divine for guidance. It's to know that spirit, whatever we want to call it, the unknown, the unseen, is always guiding us. You know, there is always a direction. There's the direction of the wind. And if we can just be silent enough to listen, we can receive its guidance. So you are always guided. Any decision that you're making in your life right now, if you really tune into spirit, you will hear the answer. And that answer may be that right now is the time to cultivate more patience. That answer may be just let it unfold, but there is an answer. And I feel so many of us, and the quintessential pain of being a human is to feel unsupported, is to feel like we're just like raw dogging it on our own, and we don't know what to do. And the truth is, Spirit's always guiding us. We're always supported. We just don't know how to speak the language of the universe. And that's where divination comes along. So divination is a series of different tools, practices, and modalities that have been used in ancient cultures for tens of thousands of years. And what's really interesting is across all lineages, you see a lot of similarities. So it's really using these tools as a pathway to listen to your deeper intuition. So it's not in lieu, but rather it is to receive a mirror through something tangible. So I want to think of the difference right now of when I am just thinking in my head while doing things versus journaling. When I am journaling, I am now directing and pointing my energy and focus towards something. So I'm a little bit more clear, a little bit more succinct. I'm not going to all of a sudden think of some song or not doing my dishes. It may come to mind, but I'm journaling right now. I'm in a container. So when I'm journaling, I'm less likely to stray away. And that's what divination allows us to do, but with our intuition. We have something that's tangible. We have a practice. We have something to bounce back off of. And then that gives us something that our intuition can base off of and go along with. And there's also an intelligence to what that thing is showing us. So I'm going to be sharing with you some different divination tools that I dive deeper into the spiritual life coaching training. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. And let's get into it. If you're listening to this, you are an intuitive person that is naturally drawn to spirituality, but you may wonder, how can I actually integrate this into my career? Well, you are likely that friend that everyone comes to whenever they need guidance, so why not create a career for yourself as a certified spiritual life coach? I am so excited to announce my school, Highest Self Institute's new accredited 6-month spiritual life coaching training. We're going to be diving deep into how to use your intuition, the chakras, doshas, Ayurveda, tapping into past lives, soul ages, plant medicine, ceremony, ritual, healing, ancestral trauma, relaxing into our nervous system, and so much more. It's like all of the topics we dive into on this podcast, but teaching you these tools so you can actually create a private practice or bring it out through retreats, books, speaking engagements, and so much more. I began my career as a spiritual life coach, and I am so excited to bring along the teachings I have learned from coaching for over 10 years to you. So doors are open right now for our inaugural class. We are so excited to really step every single week with you in this container. I will be teaching it live on Zoom, so you will be able to ask me questions, get laser coached by me, as well as my co-founder, Dr. Neeta, teaching you everything about not just diving into intuitive and spiritual life coaching, but also how to create a business sharing this with the world. And I'm so excited because maybe one day you're going to have me on your podcast. So doors are open right now for a limited time. If you're interested, you're curious, you want to hop on a one-on-one call and learn more, head over to the show notes. That very first link, you'll be able to find all of the information, book a free discovery call, and get started when class begins. I am so excited to dive deep with you. So the number one most common divination tool that you may already be familiar with are oracle cards. So I have actually created my own set of oracle cards called a yogic path, which you can find on Amazon and wherever books are sold. So what oracle cards do and how I like to teach it is it allows you to ask a question that you are sitting with. And that question may be something like, what does my inner guidance want me to know today? Or what is unseen in this situation? Or show me the dynamics between me and this person, or show me the underlying energy in this job, or speak to the truth of this situation. So it's really about how. It's not about when. It's not when will I get married and it's going to be like in 8 months. It's not about that, but rather it's archetypal. So my deck, A Yogic Path, actually uses Vedic wisdom. So we dive into the deities. So here I have Kali Ma, the goddess of transformation, Parvati, the goddess of becoming your highest self, Saraswati, the goddess of creativity, Durga, the goddess of confidence. And we also have different yoga sutras such as Buddhi. So if you've ever learned like in your yoga teacher training, a lot of the terms and terminology, we have chakras, we have Ayurveda. So like Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat chakra. So if you're into yoga, chakra healing, goddesses, anything like that, I highly recommend my deck, A Yogic Path. All of the visuals are actually created with the ancient depictions of the goddesses. So we've actually taken the original statues from that time and created collage art. So there is a lot of sacred energy to this. So how I like to work with the deck is I will shuffle it, really tuning into my energy. And before I even start working with the deck, and this is a really important piece of divination, you want the tool to get to know your energy. Because without it being my energy, it's just a deck. It could be anyone's. So I needed to start to get to know me because right now it's an inanimate object. But as I start to integrate into my energy being, it starts to come alive. Just like statues, statues are statues, but when we start to feed them, give them offerings, give them prayers, they start to come alive. And that's why in ancient Egypt, these statues were such revered beings because they were living, we were giving them offerings every day. And right now they have kind of dried up because you're no longer allowed to give offerings and prayers in Egypt. You're actually not even allowed to meditate or close your eyes in the tombs. But if you pay the people off, you can. So I share this because Something that is inanimate can become alive and imbued with your energy through intention. So I like to, and any oracle card or tarot card that I get, I like to actually sleep with it under my pillow for 3 nights. And this actually infuses it with my energy. So it's kind of getting to know me spiritually. And then I will shuffle it, clear it. I will be sharing more about different energy clearing tools. I've got lots of them to share with you today. And I will ask my question. I normally do 3 questions in a day. So sometimes if it's a situation, I'll do tell me about the present, past, and future. I've got lots of different spreads as well. So if you buy the deck and leave a review, I will send you, I have like 9 different spreads, which are formations. You can find that link in the show notes. But I'll ask my question. And then instead of just quickly and running and grabbing a card, I will lightly place my hands and kind of swim the energy over the cards and feel where I feel called. So I will feel like, okay, over here, I'm feeling a bit of a pull. And I'll come deeper and I'll feel into, where do I feel this pull? Which card do I feel this pull? And I kind of am like, and my eyes are closed, so I'm not looking at it, but I'm just kind of feeling, it's like, it's this one right here. And I like to go with the one like my finger first laid on rather than like, no, it's under here, because I feel like spirit wants to make the signals obvious to us. Also, if you're shuffling a deck and a card comes out, you know that that card has a message for you. So I'm feeling it here. I pull that card out. Now, here's the difference that I do. And I have found this is really what enhances your intuition. Instead of quickly flashing the card on the other side, reading what it means in the guidebook, I sit with it between my hands and I close my eyes and I intuit. What do I feel this card says? And so let's say it's tell me the truth about the situation. What do I intuitively feel that spirit is telling me? And so I feel into, well, it says that, it's important for me to honor my heart and see how things unfold and let go of control. And now I've received so much. I've connected to my own intuition. And that's really what this is all about. Now, from that place, I can flip the card over and see what the card is. Now, instead of jumping to the guidebook, I take another second step of enhancing my intuition. I actually look at the imagery of the card and I really take a deep look and I say, what is this imagery speaking to me in my unique consciousness? Because we all see the world in different ways. So here I've drawn the Buddha card. So to me, Buddha, it was always like my favorite symbol. My room was always decorated with Buddha. It really feels like home. It feels like a homecoming to me. Whereas for someone else, they may have a completely different understanding of it. And I can feel this blue energy. It's very peaceful. It's very calm. And this card to me feels very much about like practicing patience. And so I will receive whatever message that the imagery of this card has to say to me, again, through the voice of my own intuition. Now I've already received so much that I don't even need to go to the guidebook. But now to add the next layer, I will look the card up in the guidebook and then actually read what's in there. Now for my oracle deck, I pulled what I saw in tarot that I really like, that there's different definitions based on whether you pulled it upright or reverse. So I have found that, the same card can mean totally different things based on the light and the shadow. So when I shuffle cards, I like to kind of spiral them all around. Like I like to put it on a circle and use my hand. Some of them are flipped upside down. I don't know which ones. That way, in the deck, there are some cards that are upright, some cards that are reverse. So if I pick a card and it's upright, then I'm in the light of that, or the situation is depicting me to the light. If it's reversed, there's a shadow. Doesn't mean bad. It means maybe look out. For example, the shadow of Buddha would be like, look at the ways that you are maybe being impatient in a situation. You are rushing. You're trying to get to the finish line. And so there's equal value of both. So I really like looking at both depictions. So oracle card decks, I feel, is where a lot of people start with divination. It's something beautiful. It's something that you can do in your daily practice and allows you to start beginning that conversation with your highest self. Now, I talked about energy clearing. This is a huge part of what I teach in the spiritual life coaching certification, because if we are not clearing energy, we're actually holding on to the energetic debris that of the previous situation we were in, or who walked into our homes, or what we read on the internet. We are so bombarded with energy in this day and age. I mean, I just go on my Instagram feed and I see a war and I see, someone fighting and I see these random people who I don't even know. And all of a sudden, I've just taken on all of this energy that I would have never seen in my normal life. So this is why energy clearing is important, both psychically and also physically. So you can see here, what is she holding in her hand right now? If you're watching this on video on YouTube or Spotify, I am holding a giant log of copal. Now, copal is a tree resin. So it's like the sap of the tree. And guys, I wish I could send you a smell note right now. It smells so freaking phenomenal. This is my favorite of all energy healing tools. Not only do I adore the smell, but the way that you work with it. And this is raw from Guatemala. I got it from the indigenous elders I was studying with, but you can likely find even raw copal on Etsy from indigenous people, or if you travel there. But there's also different forms of copal. You can get the dried up one, which is more commonly known, or even the copal like incense stick. So it's kind of shaped as an incense stick, but it's not like, I really don't recommend getting standard incense because those are filled with like fragrances and chemicals. That's why the smell is so strong. So I only recommend because when you're burning something, and I also want to note, whenever you're burning something, keep a window open. Because traditionally these things were done outside. They're not meant to be done inside. So, when you like walk into like a hippie bookstore and it smells like insane incense and you kind of get a headache, it's because you're inside and all of that smell is, kind of churning in the space. And it can be a bit toxic. So I do want to share that because it is important to note that, incense was traditionally used outside of temples. It was outdoors. And same with any energy healing tool. You also want to leave a window open because you want the negative energy to go out. If you're in your apartment and it's stuffed up, where is the energy going to go? So I love copal. It's very sticky. So I will take a piece of copal, I'll use a knife, and I will actually put it on a piece of charcoal. So this is quick burning charcoal here that I actually can just light it up with a lighter or on a candle and it will start to burn up, and I will put a piece of the copal on top and it will start to burn, and all of a sudden this delicious smoke is coming out. So I love using a box like this, a wood box. It's really easy to travel with as well. And you're getting the delicious scent of the copal. And then I will literally cleanse it over my entire being from the crown of my head all the way down. I'll get my shoulders, my heart, my womb, all the way down to the bottom of my feet. I'll actually lift up my feet and get to the bottom. And I'll also get my back body, especially the back of my heart, because the back is where we often hold on to the unknown, the feminine, as well as our ancestors. So I notice like my back heart always needs a clearing and cleansing. So it's also really great if you can smudge. We call this smudging someone else, because then you can get the back of each other's bodies. So with charcoal, you can also burn wild rue. So like in Persian, we call it esfand. And every single culture will have their own clearing herb. So traditionally it was done over charcoal. So this is actually the most traditional way to burn, and something if you have been diving deep into spirituality and you're ready to take it up a notch, I definitely recommend getting charcoal and and working with local herbs that are near you or from your heritage or from lineages that you feel a part of. And then the smudging tools that you are likely already familiar with, sage. So sage, this is white sage, which is the most common because of its fragrance. Energetically, it kind of zaps energy. So if you want to clear energy, such as you're in a hotel room or friends came over or you were crying or you got into a fight or you just kind of want to clear the energy of the day, I would definitely use either white sage or wild sage. It's important to note that white sage is on the brink of potentially becoming on the endangered herb list, just because so many people are desiring white sage and are honestly just burning too much of it. So the way that I like to work with white sage is to honestly just take a small piece and burn that piece. You don't need a giant sage bundle and to light the entire thing. You absolutely don't need that at all. It is not how indigenous or native people were working with the white sage. And you also don't need white sage. I was gifted this, so I have it. I don't ever go and buy it. And honestly, this will last you years, especially if you're burning it piece by piece. But wild sage is extremely ample. You can find it, especially if you live in North America, it's everywhere. And so that's a really great sage to use, especially if it's local to you. The other one that you likely have seen before, Palo Santo. So Palo Santo really smooths energy. So it has a very sweet fragrance. It's very earthy. Like it smells really amazing. Whereas sage can be quite intense. A lot of people don't like sage, but they say that if someone is saying, ew, who burned the sage? I don't like it. They're the bad energy and it's working, just saying. But Palo Santo is going to have it's like jazz. I think of it like that kind of music. It's very smooth. It's very sultry. So it kind of just clears the energy, like it smooths it out. So I like to, if I just did a ritual or something, I will use sage. But if it's like, I've just kind of been in my own energy field, nothing's really shifted, I'll just use Palo Santo and it just adds or if there was like really intense energy in the space and I kind of want to bring in more peace and harmony, I will burn some Palo Santo. And again, you just take the wood and you put it in your candle flame and it lights up, and you can sage it, smudge it around your body and also around your home. I also want to note that Palo Santo is definitely already on the endangered list because it has just been, again, commodified. So, and also a lot of Palo Santo we find out there is fake. So it is important to get it from a good source, that it is real Palo Santo, because then we're supporting farmers that are actually growing the original tree. There is an aging process that it needs to actually get that scent. So when they prematurely take the wood of the Palo Santo tree, it's not even going to have that same fragrance and energy healing. So we do want to get like the true Palo Santo, which again, you're going to get it more likely from like Etsy or just indigenous people. Though likely if you've ever shopped at a spiritual store, they often gift you these things. So I've have just ended up with a lot of it. It's honestly often not the highest quality of it. And you can still definitely work with it. But I will say, if you are intending to buy something, to actually really buy the real thing and trying to buy it from the indigenous people who are really taking care of the land as much as possible. The next energy clearing tool I really want to shout out is Agua de Florida. So I started really working with this in Guatemala. I had heard of it before, but it wasn't until there, because it's a huge part of their energy healing system, that I really started to get to know it. And I'm like, wow, this is really, really powerful. So you got to get natural Agua de Florida, because if you get the unnatural, there's a lot of alcohol in it. And so the way I like to work with it is I like to put it in my hand and I kind of splash behind me. And I find instantly I'm feeling a huge wave. And I also like to put it in my heart, temples, kind of anywhere that I feel like I might be holding on to energy and wow, whew, I don't know if you see my aura. For those of you who see my aura, there's definitely a big shift and difference. It's I can't explain it, but something around your energy just lightens up and clears. I just feel like I just had a fog removed from my head. And what I really like about Agua de Florida and other energy clearing tools that are non-smoke related is, especially if you're smoke sensitive, these are really great tools, especially if you have a small child, you have a little dog, you don't want to be burning things. Agua de Florida is amazing. So you can just kind of put it on different parts of your body, and it just kind of is feels like an energetic shower. The next energy clearing tool I want to share with you is called a Sistrum. So sound is one of the most powerful ways we can clear energy. You don't actually really need to burn something or put something on, but through sound, as well as through clapping, which I'll speak about next, you really clear the energy. Because if we think about it, what is sound? Sound is energy. Sound is sound vibrations. It's these waves that are circulating through our plane. So when I do something like a big clap, right? A clap, it's a pattern interrupt. It's created a shift. It's a response. It's created a force field. So there is an energetic shift that happens. When I play the sound bowl, it's smooth, it's harmonizing, it's moving and circulating the energy around the room. Just like in the sound bowl, I'm circulating the energy around the sound bowl. So that's why when you go to places like Sedona, you feel this huge energetic shift. Well, Sedona is like a giant sound bowl. It's crystals all around it. And it's this giant, like a valley surrounded by the mountains. And so that's why in Sedona it can be very intense, and even different parts of Sedona will have different energy, but it's like you're in this giant sound bowl. So the energy is circling and circling and circling. And so all the people are in this vortex field together. What is your unique type of intuition? Are you someone that feels things in your body, sees a vision for something, hears a voice in your head, or just knows? This quiz is going to help you understand your unique intuitive type and how you can take action on it in creating a career that honors your intuitive gifts. All right, let's get into it. So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance, close your eyes and listen. So I share this because sound, crystals, this is actually how the pyramids were made. Modern, Muggle historians are like, we have no idea how the pyramids were made. It's like, oh, actually, we do know. They used sound technology. Through the sound, they actually were literally sculpting these rocks because it makes no logical sense. No scientist has been able to figure out how they would move these like tens of thousands of ton of stone and move them thousands of miles through the desert. It makes no logical sense. And they have found, and people have intuited, and many channels have seen that they would use sound technology to even do things like moving these rocks and sculpting these temples. So I'm sharing this because sound is extremely healing. And what I said might sound very out there, though I'm here on this podcast, so it might not. I'm sharing this because it's like, if I start playing heavy metal music, like you're going to feel like kind of staticky. If I start playing mantras, you're going to feel really zen and peaceful. If I start playing hip hop, you're going to feel like, root chakra energy. If I start playing, like Kundalini music, you're going to feel its own, like very heart-centered way. So every music has its own energy. That's why you can listen to a song, it changes your entire mood. Music decorates space. And so when we listen to music, we're actually decorating the space. We're eliciting different, it's like you could be crying and then like Back That Ass Up comes on and it's like, you're crying and twerking at the same time. It's like, it's a force field. So I share this because that is how powerful sound is. So how do we use it for energy clearing? Before I got into Back That Ass Up, I'm sorry, I just got a little, caught up there. So a Sistrum. So this is an ancient Kemetic Egyptian tool. You can see here it has Hathor, the deity, the Neteru of the sound. Her original name is Het Hatur. It's important to note when I say Neteru, I'm talking about the ancient Egyptian. When I say Egyptian, the original name is Kemet. Why am I sharing this? Because the word Egypt is it's like a British word. It's not even what they were originally called. The name Hathor, it came from the Greeks. It's not who she was called. She was called Het Heter. So as we come back, and this is really what I teach in the Spiritual Life Coaching certification, come back to the true origins of this. Because a lot of people are saying mantras, that are not correctly pronunciated. And mantras are a science. The reason why you say that mantra is because when you say that word, it's touching different points in your mouth, different meridians. And those meridians are eliciting a certain vibration of energy. Whereas, for example, in transcendental meditation, they've had to, because of the CIA actually, had to take these original Bij mantras, these like age-old mantras, and add extra vowels to it because the CIA was like, you're promoting a religion, even though it was not a religion at all. It predates religion. So like, for example, the mantra was shring, 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 and the CIA forced Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, founder of TM, to change it to shring, shring, shring. There's a huge difference vibrationally between shring, 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 and shring, shring, shring. It's touching different cavities of my mouth, and therefore I'm not even eliciting the energy of the original mantra. So if you have done TM, I love mantra meditation, but the pronunciation they have given you is not the original pronunciation. The CIA forced them to change it. I share this because it's like only through I've been trained in all of these things and you get to the origins of it. So coming back to the ancient ways. So this Sistrum is this tool that has these little like kind of coins on it and it shakes like this. And so you will use it to clear energy. Like I'm already feeling like all of here. And I won't shake it like crazy so you can hear me talk, but basically it is shaking off any connections that you are holding on to, because we are all psychically connected. And at this moment of time, there is a wire point with you and your partner. And there is a wire point between you and your mother and you and your child and you and that situation that you're in and you and that video that you watch. And all of these cords are connected to you right now. And those cords are all the things that you're attached to, things in your consciousness, things that you dream about, conversations that you have. We are meant to have cords. However, if we are always corded up, we don't even know who we are. So when we clear energy and get rid of these cords, like I can feel like top of our chakras right now really need a good shake up. We release that energetic cord and we can be more sovereign and in our own energetic field. And only through me being in my energetic field can I actually connect to my intuition. Because if I'm connected into my dad and my partner and my this and my that and all of their energies, then I don't know what's mine. And so I'm like, wait, is this even my voice? Is this even my thought? Is this even my idea? And often they're not doing deep spiritual work. So all of a sudden you're picking up on someone else's pain, someone else's fears, someone else's anxieties, and they become yours and you think it's yours, but you're just holding on to this cord. If you've never done energy clearing, you have a lifetime of cords that you are connected with, and it can take a little bit of time to undo those. So using something like a Sistrum and all the tools I've shared with you can help shake off those energetic cords. And I find that even people who are not spiritual, they feel a difference. They feel a shift and it will start to guide you. And it feels like an energetic shower. And I use my Sistrum and I'm shaking it all over my body and I can feel, okay, my heart needs it. Top of my head needs it. Bottom of my feet need it. I'm just like literally like macheting off these energetic cords. And after, I feel such an exhale. So highly recommend trying with a Sistrum, and you don't even need a Sistrum. Clapping as well is a really powerful way. If I don't have anything and I need to clear energy, I will just clap. Another thing I do when I go into a new hotel room is I actually just say a prayer of intention of, calling in my guides, my spirits, my counsel, those that love and support me. And please sending home any energies that are not serving my highest good and my highest light. Please return to sender. You are not welcome here. And I envision myself fortifying all of the walls, the ceiling, and the floor. And so I actually create this plush surrounding around me, a force field. And so I'm sending all of the energy back to sender of anything that was in this room. Because guys, what the fuck even happens in these hotel rooms? Like if you're staying in a hotel room in Vegas, Lord, you better be cleansing that space, And so I'm literally creating this force field on top and below. And I always bring some kind of energy tool there because I feel like, especially somewhere that you're sleeping, that a lot of people have slept in, that's a big energy transfer. And, but still, even just having the intention. Another little prayer that you can do is calling in all energy that is mine and releasing energy that is not mine back to that person. And when you say that, I invite you to notice, do I feel more of a shift when I'm calling back in my energy? Because maybe you lost your energy somewhere. You have what we call susto. It's something I dive into in the training, which is basically when there was a trauma that happened that your spirit left your body. So if you do have some kind of susto, when you call back in your energy, all of a sudden you feel more energized. Or you may be holding on to a lot of other people's energy. So then when you call back people's energy back to sender, all of a sudden you're feeling this weight lift off your shoulder. So it's interesting to see what your pattern is. And that's something that, we really teach you to dive into. And that's really diving into the subtle energetic realms. Just little shout outs to more subtle energy, flower essences, essential oils, breath work, meditation, so many different tools and practices. Before we leave the topic of energy healing, which I can literally share about forever, I also recommend making ritual salts. So this is a salt that I made with sea salt, black charcoal. So I actually just ordered charcoal capsules, like the same activated ones you would take, opened it up, mixed that in with some rosemary. And this is really great for clearing negative energies, entities, anything that we might be holding on to, which you might be like, what did you just say? When I say the word entity, I'm not talking about a ghost or an evil dark spirit, but an actual entity is a belief structure. So when a lot of people have a shared belief, it becomes its own entity, its own energetic field. So for example, if a lot of people are angry at a country, right? That starts to create an energetic field. That entity starts to get more life because it's feeding off of the beliefs and thoughts of all of these people. And then all of that anger manifests into violence, which can manifest into war. So war is an entity. it begins with the war within ourselves, the war of consciousness, and actually becomes this thing outside of us. And then this entity, it's almost like this moving tornado. And this tornado hijacks people's consciousness, especially when they are in a traumatized state. And so when you're in a traumatized state and you've left your body, you're very vulnerable. This tornado, because it's so strong and it's like, I know what I'm doing, it gives people that don't have a sense of purpose and direction, a sense of purpose and direction. So then they get caught up in this entity that then all of a sudden that becomes their purpose, but it's hijacked their consciousness. So porn is one of the biggest entities out there. Porn has hijacked so many men's consciousness because it has caused them to create a disembodied view of sex where they can't even be present in their own body. And then when it does come to actual sex, they can no longer actually get an erection because they have given their consciousness to this entity that keeps feeding off of them, turns into porn addictions. And that's why 80% of the internet is pornography. And it's an extremely dark rabbit hole. So I share this because we need to know like the light and dark in spirituality. I am not ever someone that sugarcoats things. Like, we need to protect our space. We need to have energetic sovereignty. I'm not someone that's like, oh my God, like bad vibes, everything's bad vibes. It's not that, but it's also just, those things are not outside of ourselves. Like war consciousness lives inside of ourselves. Narcissism lives inside of ourselves. Codependency lives inside of ourselves. They're not things outside of us, but rather it's when they go unaddressed, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. They find all of the other people that have that and they become an energetic entity. So I share that because, and really the core root to get to the bottom of that is trauma healing and shadow work, which we also dive into of really how to coach someone to do in the training. But tools like ritual salts, I do notice are really helpful. So if I am in an energy field that I can feel, I'll like light a candle and I'll put the salt around it and I'll notice that the salt moves things. So I'm going to get into the next tool. And this is kind of like the main thing I really wanted to share with today. This is one of my favorite divination tool practices and something that everyone can do, and that is candle magic. So you can see here, I have this big beeswax candle. I will always suggest getting a beeswax, ideally, or a soy candle. Please, 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 please do not get those delicious smelling cotton candy baby blue candles that we're also tempted by, because they're toxic AF and really bad for you to ingest and can even cause cancers. I know, it sucks. But beeswax candles are readily available for us. They're non-toxic. They don't have the same scent, but you can make your own candles with essential oils. So that's a really good way of having, because, cotton candy fragrance, what do you think that's made out of? It's made out of all chemicals. So if you're seeing like cookie dough flavor, those things are all man-made, and then you're burning it, you're inhaling it, and it goes straight into your body. You're literally breathing into your bloodstream. So it's important not to. So I always get a beeswax candle. So let's talk about candle magic. So the way that I practice candle magic is I have an altar set up in my home, and I recommend for all my students to set up an altar. And an altar could be like, literally, I always say, get those trays that when you're eating on the couch and it's like you can put it on your lap, like the TV dinner trays. Do you know what I'm talking about? Get a wood one. There you go. You have something for your altar. You can put it right on your ground, but it'll just lift it up. So that, if you have a spare desk, table, even just a coffee table, anything that is like a wood board, even just raise it up. You never want your altar to be on the ground. It does need to be raised up. And so altars, every single lineage has them, but it is a place to ceremonially place objects that represent the energies that you are calling in, working with, and in gratitude with. So I have my altar set up. I change my altar every few months based on what I'm calling in. So I currently have a true love altar and I work with candles. So I will write down prayers that I have. So for me, I never do like magic of like, I am calling in this person or this thing by this time. I never recommend doing that. simply because then you're kind of fucking with free will and it's not for the highest good. So I always say, like, my intention is true love, true sacred union. I don't write who, I don't write when, I don't write anything like that. I connect to the intention. I also will write candles for other people. So I pray for other people every single day. It's a very big part of my spiritual practice. I really enjoy praying for people. So I will have candles for family members, friends, and I also will divine with candles. So how I do it is, let's say a friend of mine is, calling in more clarity around their business. So I will pray, like, may so-and-so may find more clarity on their business. May their business be blessed. Please show me any underlying energies in this business. And I'll place a fresh candle for them, put that intention, fold it up, put that intention below it, light that candle. Let that candle just burn for the whole day. So if I'm doing like something like that, that's like short term, I want to know the answer soon, I'll get a small candle, a thin candle. And I look at how the candle burns. And so I notice, like, does it topple? Does it burn really evenly? Does a formation occur with the wax? Whatever formation occurs, what do I see in it? Do I see a face? Do I see an arrow? Do I see clouds? Do I see a heart? So I use it as a form of divination, similar to reading tea leaves, coffee leaves, cacao. Every single culture has their own way of reading the residue of what's left. So indigenous culture working with cacao, after you do cacao ceremony, you flip over the cup and you say your intentions. And then you turn over the cup, you see how the cacao dried up or moved in the cup. And then you read that. What is this telling me? Same with Turkish coffee. A lot of us know about that. You drink the coffee and the way that the coffee powder laid up on inside the cup, you start to notice, are there any shapes? Are there any patterns? What is it speaking to me? Tea leaves, you drop tea leaves, you notice any shapes and patterns. So we have been doing this since the beginning of time. Every single culture has it. So similarly, you can do it with candles. So noticing any formation. And I always say, let the person who the candle's for intuit what they see. So I may see something, but it's based on my own experience, which could be my own projections, but also, like, it is here to empower that person. And that's something I really teach in the spiritual life coaching certification of, we're not here to tell someone what to do, because that can be very disempowering. And the whole point of this is we want them to connect to their own intuition, because if they connect to their own intuition, they will become more empowered and sovereign and in their own energetic field. So I will burn the candle for them, take a picture and send it to them. And I'll ask them, what do you see in this candle? And they may say, I noticed this shape. I noticed this face. I noticed this rainbow. I noticed this whatever. And I may have noticed the exact same things. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw. What does that mean for you? Or maybe I didn't see those things. I saw it a totally different way. I say, that's so interesting. What does that mean for you? And I actually have them tell me what they see in it. Because again, their understanding of a rainbow may mean something totally different than my understanding of a rainbow. So even if we see the same things, the intuition around it might be different. So right now I have like 4 candles burning, and it's really interesting because they're the exact same candles, same shape, burned them at the same time, just have different writing under them. And they are burning radically different right now. Some are very even and smooth. Some are like completely edged. Some of them are like breaking apart. Some of them, the flame is moving really quickly. Some of them, the flame is really steady. If you're noticing black smoke come out of it, black smoke is often that candle needed to release negative energy. So you actually help clear some energy from it. If it's white smoke, it's very, very peaceful. If a candle, I burn it for someone and it's so smooth and easy, I'm like, I think this thing is already resolved. If it's like super gnarly, I'm like, whoa, okay, there's a lot there. So you're actually helping clear energy for that person as well by doing candle magic. So if you notice like a piece of that candle fell off, you actually helped clear something, right? Like an energy, a belief, an entity, something that was holding them back. You actually helped remove it. So also when you're doing candle magic, it's not just divination, but it's also clearing. So this is something that is really interesting to dive into because it allows you to start to work with energy and work with elements and have like a deeper understanding. And I feel Like a lot of us are spiritual in terms of like, we love the chakras, but it's like, let's take it up a notch, let's actually start being priestesses and medicine women and oracles. And, you know, we are the ones we've been waiting for, like we are the ones, the witches they would have burnt at the stake. And it's really cool because when we start to bring these practices back to life, we realize how divinely supported we are. We realize how there's always spirit speaking to us and we're always in communion. And it feels so beautiful. Like for me, when I wake up, sometimes I'm anxious. I check my phone. I'm running late on emails, whatever the thing is. I go to my altar. I light my candles. I listen to my mantras. All of a sudden, my entire energy field shifts. So this is the importance of having a spiritual practice and what we dive into in Highest Self Institute's new spiritual life coach certification. So whether you are interested in actually creating a career for yourself as a spiritual life coach and diving in with people one-on-one on a deep core level of listening to your intuition and using energy healing tools and diving into Ayurveda and ancestral healing and using tools like I didn't get into the pendulum, but I teach you how to use a pendulum and all of these different energy clearing practices in the spiritual life coaching certification. And you also practice it every single week. So every single week you will be on a live pod, put into breakout groups and practice the tool of that week, but also be coached. So even if you don't want to create a career, imagine diving into this work for 6 months straight. 6 months, every single week, 1, 2, 3 times a week, you can be coached one-on-one by someone. Imagine the insights you would get. Imagine the quantum leaps you would make. When you get silent enough that you hear the voice of your intuition and you make a decision that changes the entire course of your life? And you're like, why aren't I in silence more often? You could be doing that every single week through this. So this is really like a portal of transformation. So every single week there will be modules pre-recorded, taught by myself, as well as Dr. Neetha, who teaches you more of the business of coaching, how to create a package, how to charge, how to have your elevator pitch. So you'll get the weekly modules, which are like an hour and a half. Weekly practice coaching sessions, an hour where you're put into breakout groups, practicing it, receiving the coaching, coming together, asking questions, getting feedback, and then a weekly Q&A call with myself and Dr. Neetha. So we will be answering any of your questions as well as laser coaching you on how to actually take these tools and modalities and bring it even deeper into your practice. So 3 touch points every single week. I will be live with you. We're running this training live, so I will see you on the Zoom calls, and it's just the ultimate way to dive into your spiritual journey. So if you are interested, you're curious, you want to learn more, head over to the show notes. It's the very first link. You'll be able to learn more about the certification and be able to join us. We also have the ability for you to hop on a free one-on-one discovery call. So if you have any more questions that the website doesn't share, you can book a discovery call and learn more about it. And I'm so excited to see you in class. Doors are open right now. This is our very first time running the class, so I will be extra hands-on, and it won't be available again until next year. So if you are feeling the call right now, this is the portal that the doors are open, the veils are lifted, and you can join us live and become a certified spiritual life coach in just 6 months. So again, run over to the show notes, click that first link, put in your email, get more information, and come join us. All right. I'm so excited to hopefully see you there. I hope you learned powerful divination tools, energy clearing using Copal, Palo Santo, Sage, the pendulum, oracle decks, salt bath, and how to use candle magic as well. And this is just a little tasty taste of what you're going to get diving deep with us over the next 6 months in the training. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast to get more weekly spiritual education, to dive deeper into your divine feminine and into your intuition. And I can't wait to see you again.
Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen. Swing to let go. So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes.